Right now, more than half of Gen Z and millennials have used a buy now, pay later service to buy something they couldn't fully afford. And on the surface, it looks completely harmless. Split your purchase into 4 easy payments. No interest, no big deal. But underneath that friendly checkout button, there's a debt trap quietly forming, and almost nobody realizes it until they're already stuck inside it. Here's how it actually works. Services like Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm, and Sezzle let you buy something today and spread the cost over installments, usually 4 payments across 6 weeks, often with 0 interest and no credit check. It sounds like free money, and that's exactly the problem, because when something feels free, people stop treating it like debt. You're not swiping a credit card. You're not watching an interest rate tick upward. You're just clicking a button that says "Pay in 4." And that small psychological distance between spending and consequence is doing a lot of quiet damage. Because here's the part that should worry you. Buy now, pay later largely exists outside the regulatory system built around traditional credit. Credit cards report to the major credit bureaus. They're bound by decades of consumer protection law, and there are clear, standardized disclosure rules around fees and interest. Most buy now, pay later services were built specifically to avoid looking like credit at all, which conveniently also means avoiding most of the regulation that comes with it. And when you miss a payment, it's not always as harmless as people assume. Late fees can stack up fast. Some providers charge a flat fee per missed installment, and if you're using multiple buy now, pay later apps at once, which a growing number of people are, those missed payments can spiral in a way that's hard to see coming until it's already happened. Which brings us to the real issue hiding underneath the convenience. It's called loan stacking, and it might be the most dangerous part of this entire system, because there's no central system tracking how many buy now, pay later loans a single person has open at once. You could have 4 active payment plans across 4 different apps, and not one of those companies knows about the other 3. To them, you look like a low-risk customer making small, manageable payments. In reality, you might be juggling 12 payments a month across products you already forgot you bought. It's the financial equivalent of maxing out 4 different credit cards on the same day, except none of the lenders can see each other, and none of them know you're doing it. And the data on this is starting to catch up to the hype. A growing share of buy now, pay later users report missing at least 1 payment. And here's the detail that really tells the story. A significant portion of users have used buy now, pay later specifically to purchase everyday essentials, groceries, household basics, not big one-time purchases like electronics or furniture. When people are financing groceries and installments, that's not a convenience feature anymore. That's a sign of financial strain being quietly papered over by a slick checkout experience. So why did this exploit a loophole so effectively? Because the entire model was built around one specific legal distinction. In many places, short-term, interest-free installment plans don't legally qualify as credit, the same way a credit card or personal loan does, which means the companies offering them aren't required to run the same affordability checks, aren't required to report to credit bureaus in most cases, and aren't required to give you the same standardized warnings you'd see on a credit card statement. Regulators have started noticing. In the UK, the Financial Conduct Authority has been moving toward bringing buy now, pay later under formal consumer credit regulation, which would require affordability checks and clearer consumer protections. In the US, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has pushed for these services to be treated more like credit cards, especially around dispute rights and fee transparency. But regulation moves slowly, and the industry has grown explosively while nobody was fully watching. And it's not just individual users feeling the squeeze. Retailers love buy now, pay later because it increases average order value. People spend more per transaction when the sticker shock is broken into smaller pieces, which means there's a structural incentive on both sides, the platform and the retailer, to keep pushing this option at checkout, regardless of whether it's actually good for the person clicking the button. Here's an analogy that puts it in perspective. Imagine going to a buffet where every plate only costs a quarter of the actual price, and you don't find out the real total until you've already eaten. That's essentially what's happening at checkout. The 4-payment structure isn't just a convenience, it's a psychological trick that makes the true cost of a purchase feel smaller than it is. And this pattern isn't new, it's just wearing a new outfit. Layaway plans in the 20th century worked the opposite way. You paid first and got the item later, which meant you couldn't actually get something until you'd already proven you could afford it. Buy now, pay later flipped that model entirely. Now you get the item immediately and prove you can afford it after the fact, which is exactly backwards from a responsible lending structure. So what actually needs to change? There are a few realistic fixes here, and none of them require banning the service entirely, because used correctly, short-term installment plans aren't inherently evil. Option 1. Mandatory centralized reporting. If buy now, pay later loans were reported to a shared database the way credit cards are, lenders and platforms could actually see when someone is stacking multiple loans at once, which would prevent the exact spiral that's currently invisible to everyone involved. solved. Option 2. Standardized affordability checks. Right now, approval is often instant and requires little to no verification of whether someone can actually afford the payments. Even a lightweight income or spending check would catch a huge share of at-risk borrowers before they're 4 payments deep into debt. Option 3. Clear fee and repayment disclosure at the point of purchase, not buried in app settings or a separate confirmation email. If a missed payment fee or the real annualized cost of a plan was displayed as clearly as the 4-payment breakdown is, people would make dramatically different decisions at checkout. None of these fixes are complicated. They're not politically explosive like Social Security reform or defense spending cuts. They're just basic consumer protections that haven't caught up to a financial product that grew faster than regulators could track it. And that's really the pattern underneath everything we've covered here. This isn't a story about people being reckless with money. It's a story about a financial product specifically engineered to feel like it isn't debt, growing largely unregulated at exactly the moment household budgets are already stretched thin by inflation and stagnant wages. The convenience is real, but so is the risk hiding just underneath it. So if you're using buy now, pay later right now, the real question isn't whether it's convenient. It's whether you actually know how many of these payment plans you have open at once and whether you could handle all of them landing in the same week. If you found this helpful, subscribe, because understanding how these financial products actually work matters a lot more than the 4 easy payments messaging wants you to believe. And if you've ever been caught off guard by a buy now, pay later payment, drop a comment, because you're far from the only one.